Meanwhile, there is a controversy brewing over at Twitter. So Elon Musk woke up this morning, basically fired everybody, which I got to say is hilarious. They had more employees than they needed. Twitter had something like 6,500 employees, which is insane. What do all those people do all day? I mean, aside from drinking lattes and going to the massage room, what exactly do they do over there? Many of them woke up to find that their emails had been blocked and they were done. Musk is taking over with a small cadre of people, and a lot of the advertisers are freaking out. They're freaking out because what they are afraid of is the secondary boycotts. What they're afraid of is that somebody will screen cap an ad for Cheerios, and that ad for Cheerios will appear next to an uncleared post on Twitter that involves the N-word or something. And so if Twitter is more unregulated, then advertisers are more afraid. It's not a safe buy environment. This is their shtick. According to the Wall Street Journal, some advertisers are concerned Musk could scale back content moderation, which they worry would lead to an increase in objectionable content on the platform. Others are temporarily halting their ads because of uncertainty at the company as top executives exit, and Musk considers a raft of changes. Representatives for General Mills and Audi of America confirmed the companies have paused Twitter ads. As always, we will continue to monitor this new direction and evaluate our marketing spend, said a spokeswoman for General Mills, whose brands include Cheerios, Bisquick, and Haagen-Dazs. A Twitter rep did not respond to a request for comment. That's not exactly a shock. Whenever there is a sort of radical change in the nature of a business, advertisers tend to get a little scared. Many other companies are doing the same. An executive at one major ad agency said about 20 of its clients had temporarily paused Twitter spending. Ad buyers say the platform isn't considered a must-buy for many advertisers, with far larger budgets going to tech giants like Alphabet, Inc.'s Google, and Meta platforms, and that pausing makes sense during the bumpy transition under Musk. This is going to be treated, of course, as though Musk is doing something deeply wrong by opening up the spigots on other information. That's not right. It's just advertisers are always afraid of roiling waters. There are a lot of roiled waters at Twitter. In 3 months, they'll all be coming back. Musk has been working to reassure advertisers, both publicly and privately, the platform will remain a safe place for brands. Since tweeting last week, Twitter cannot become a free-for-all hellscape, the billionaire has participated in several meetings and video calls with some of the world's largest ad companies and blue-chip advertisers, according to ad executives. He promised to rid the platform of bots and add community management tools, according to people. Now, there's some people on the right who are very critical of Musk, and they think that Musk is now going to essentially re-implement the same sort of closed-down regime that the old Twitter bosses had. I don't think that's correct. But it isn't correct that Musk is just going to treat Twitter like a Reddit thread. He's not just going to let anything go because, again, he is a private company. He's not saying there's no Overton window. He's just saying the Overton window is a lot broader than the Overton window that was allowed before by the Twitter content moderators who decided that noticing the biological reality of sex was a serious problem. Musk is also attempting to shift away from advertisers entirely. This is why he's pointing at this sort of $8 a month subscription program for Twitter. In a meeting with advertisers, he said subscribers would see fewer ads. The goal here is to move towards subscriptions. This, by the way, is a model in a lot of businesses right now because the ad business is so reliant, obviously, on the success of the underlying companies. In a recession, ad dollars sometimes drop. So Musk is trying to move toward direct subscriptions. That, of course, is not a shock. Meanwhile, it is amazing. One of the things that is amazing in politics is the absolute lack of ability to operate within cognitive dissonance. You see this in politics all the time. People are unable to say two things at once, just unable to do it. So a lot of people are unable on the right side of the aisle to say, don't like the stuff that Donald Trump tweets, don't like Donald Trump's personality, don't like a lot of things about Donald Trump, love his policies, therefore I voted for him. Very difficult for people to say that. And on the left, you see the same thing. They won't say, I like Joe Biden's policies, I just think that Joe Biden is not alive anymore. And they can't handle the cognitive dissonance. And this is why you see so many politicians who are absolutely unable to simply stick in the middle of the road, even on issues where they don't have to. So a great case in point of this is Liz Cheney. So Liz Cheney went from, I am a strong Republican who just doesn't like many of the things Donald Trump is doing, to, I am a strong Republican who wishes to see Donald Trump thrown out of office, to, I am a strong Republican who wishes to indict the entire Republican Party for the activities of Donald Trump, to, I am a strong Republican who loves Nancy Pelosi. That shift happened in about 37 seconds overall. The inability to hold two thoughts at once. Nancy Pelosi is a really bad Speaker of the House who has horrible priorities for the country. And also, she doesn't like Donald Trump and thinks he ought to be impeached. Like, she just can't hold that, which is, of course, why she's not going to be in Congress. She lost her primary in Wyoming. Here was Liz Cheney praising Nancy Pelosi to the skies yesterday.
And I want to say a word about Speaker Pelosi. I did not really know her before I began work on the January 6th committee. I'm not sure if I had ever spoken to her, actually. But since I have been on the committee, And I say this, everyone knows, she is a liberal from San Francisco. I'm a conservative from Wyoming. There are many, many issues, maybe most issues on which we disagree. But I think that she is a tremendous leader. I've watched her up close. She's a leader of historic consequence.
It's so tiresome. It's so tiresome. Why can't you just say, nothing bad should have happened to Paul Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi is a bad Speaker of the House who has bad priorities. Why can't we hold those two things in our minds at once? Everything's either all good or all bad all the time. It was Liz Cheney's inability to hold two thoughts at once that lead to her not being in Congress anymore. Everybody is blaming, Republicans, they're all in Trump's pocket, all the rest of it. Maybe it's that Republicans got tired of Liz Cheney basically just becoming a Democratic mouthpiece. That's what actually happened. By the way, I'm a case in point of this tiredness with Liz Cheney. When Liz Cheney first went after Donald Trump in the aftermath of January 6th, and there was an attempt to strip her of her committees, Kevin McCarthy stood by her. And I also said, she can disagree with me on impeachment, and that doesn't mean that she's going to be a bad Republican. And then, of course, she became a bad Republican who decided to smear the entire Republican Party with January 6th. And now she's out there talking about the wonders of Nancy Pelosi. Amazing stuff right there. And meanwhile, there's some brand new polls that are being dumped very, very late. Some of these polls are showing movement in favor of the Democrats. It is sort of hard to tell where these races are at this point. A lot of pollsters will sort of shift and they will move in an attempt to sort of hedge their bets. So if they go too far in the Republican direction, then they will shift to avoid the implication that the Republican's going to win. They'll just they'll kind of move the other way. And you're seeing this happen in a lot of the polling right now. You're seeing the pollsters sort of try to hedge their bets because they don't know which way it's going to go, and then they're going to be blamed if they predict one thing and the other thing happens. This is why, for example, the polling data in Arizona currently has a statistical tie, essentially, between Mark Kelly and Blake Masters. That is the easiest thing for everyone. It is super simple to claim that you didn't get it wrong if you say it's a statistical tie. Same thing happening in Pennsylvania, where it's a statistical tie. There are 5 polls in the last week showing that Oz is up in 4 of them. But in one, the Marist poll, Fetterman is up by 6. So basically that one is margin of error. All these pollsters are now in the last days attempting to hedge their bets. This is also happening in the 538 analysis, by the way. 538 now says that Republicans have a 55% shot to win the Senate. Now, it's important to remember here, for those who don't understand how percentages work, 55% shot does not mean 100% shot. People tend to think, well, at 49% shot, Republicans were going to take the Senate. This means they'll definitely lose the Senate. At 51%, that means they'll definitely take the Senate. No, it means that if you run the simulation 100 times, Republicans win in 55 of them, but in 45, Democrats win. So, pretending that this thing is a surefire bet for Republicans is wrong. However, is the momentum with the Republicans? Absolutely. The momentum is with the Republicans, and this is why Democrats are spending heavily in blue areas, why Republicans are spending almost nothing in red areas. And, again, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens because so many of these races are apparently close. It feels like the momentum is moving all in one direction. With that said, a lot of these polls are still extraordinarily close. So if there's a polling error in the other direction, theoretically, the red wave could founder. I will say one thing that's going to be very dangerous for the country. There's a widespread perception that Republicans are going to kick ass in the House and that they are likely to take the Senate at this point. If suddenly this turns into a wipeout in favor of Democrats, if you're worried about election denial and you're worried about people not trusting the results of elections, if people go to bed on Tuesday night thinking the Republicans have won, and by Wednesday morning, Democrats have picked up a bunch of seats and the red wave has foundered on the rocks, there's going to be a lot of discontent in this country, and it's going to be driven by a lot of the media coverage of what's going on so far, as well as a lot of uncertainty about how votes are even tabulated in states like Pennsylvania, which takes like days and days and days to tabulate the votes in an unprofessional manner. Alrighty, folks, we've reached the end of the show, but we'll be back here Monday with much, much more. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show.